The party was already tense when my wife leaned close and whispered, "Her ex is coming. Stay calm or it's over." Her voice shook, not with fear of him, but fear of exposure. Music thumped, laughter echoed, yet my chest felt eerily quiet. I studied her face, the forced smile, the pleading eyes, and realized how long I'd been managing emotions that weren't mine to carry. Love shouldn't feel like a warning. Guests turned toward the door as it opened. The past walked in confidently, familiar and unwelcome. Something inside me settled instead of breaking. I smiled, surprising even myself. For the first time, I wasn't reacting. I was deciding. Romance doesn't die in chaos. It dies in control disguised as love. I took a slow breath, straightened my shoulders, and walked toward the door, leaving her frozen behind me, unaware this moment would change everything permanently. He stood tall, smug, certain he still mattered. I shook his hand firmly and said, "She's all yours." "I'm done." His confidence flickered. My wife gasped sharply, disbelief flooding her face. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain. Silence spoke louder than confrontation ever could. Guests murmured, unsure whether this was a joke or a collapse. My wife rushed forward, whispering my name, asking me to stop, to think, to stay calm. Calm was exactly what I felt. Years of tension dissolved instantly. I realized love doesn't beg for space. It's given freely or it's not love at all. As I turned away, whispers turned into arguments, glasses clinked nervously, and the room fractured into confusion. Chaos erupted behind me, but I didn't look back. Control had slipped from her hands, and for the first time, she felt what I'd felt for years: uncertainty, loss, and irreversible change. Voices rose sharply as my wife chased after me, panic replacing authority. She demanded explanations, accused me of embarrassing her, begged me not to leave like this. I stopped briefly, not out of weakness, but respect for what we once had. I told her calmly that love doesn't come with conditions or ultimatums. Romance can survive mistakes, but not manipulation. Her ex watched silently, realizing he'd inherited more damage than desire. Guests avoided eye contact, suddenly aware they were witnessing the end of something real. My wife's anger collapsed into tears, but tears can't rewind choices. Suspense hung heavy. Would I return, forgive, fix it again? I didn't. I walked away slowly, each step lighter than the last. Sometimes the most dramatic moment isn't shouting or revenge. It's choosing peace while chaos begs you to stay. That decision shattered her illusion of control completely. Outside, night air wrapped around me like relief. My hands trembled, not from fear, but release. I remembered the man I used to be, patient, forgiving, slowly shrinking to keep someone comfortable. Romance shouldn't require self-erasure. Inside, arguments escalated, music stopped, and a party meant to impress collapsed into disorder. I heard my wife screaming my name, promising change, blaming everyone but herself. I didn't respond. Closure doesn't require an audience. Walking away hurt, but staying would have cost my dignity. I realized then that love ends the moment respect becomes negotiable. I sat in my car, heart racing, emotions crashing, yet clarity remained firm. Suspense wasn't about what she'd do next. It was about who I'd become now that I finally chose myself. And for the first time in years, that future felt honest, open, and mine to shape without fear. The days after were heavy but quiet. No calls at first. Then dozens. Apologies, accusations, regret, all arriving too late. I didn't block her. I simply didn't respond. Healing doesn't begin with explanations. I rebuilt routines, rediscovered peace in ordinary moments. Romance didn't disappear. It rested. Then I met Sanaa unexpectedly. Kind, observant, patient. She listened without interrupting, spoke without pressure. Suspense lingered in my chest, the fear of trusting again, but her consistency softened it. She never asked me to compete with my past or manage her emotions. Love with her felt calm, not conditional. I realized romance thrives where safety exists. My wife reached out again, saying she finally understood what she lost. I believed her. Understanding, however, doesn't restore what's already gone. Some lessons arrive only after consequences make them unforgettable. Months passed, and stability replaced chaos. Sana and I grew closer, slowly, honestly. Romance matured into partnership, not performance. She valued presence over control, communication over fear. Suspense faded because nothing was hidden. Meanwhile, my wife struggled, not with losing love, but losing power. That truth hurt more than betrayal ever did. I no longer felt anger, only distance. Freedom isn't loud. It's peaceful. I stopped replaying the party as trauma and started seeing it as liberation. That moment at the door wasn't surrender. It was self-respect. Sometimes the strongest statement is walking away without demanding validation. Love returned because I stopped tolerating manipulation. I learned that when someone asks you to stay calm, they often mean stay small. I refused. And that refusal rebuilt my confidence, my identity, and my future. What I lost wasn't love. It was an illusion. What I gained was myself, fully and unapologetically. Years later, I understand why everything exploded the moment I turned away. My wife thought control was love, fear was loyalty, silence was safety. Losing me shattered that belief. I don't tell this story with bitterness. I tell it with clarity. Love should never feel like a threat. Sana and I now share a life built on trust, not warnings. Silence feels restful, not dangerous. Romance feels mutual, not managed. The party that ended my marriage freed my soul. When people ask if I regret leaving so calmly, I smile. Calm was the bravest thing I ever chose. The moment I shook his hand and walked away, I reclaimed my worth. She understood too late, not because I replaced her, but because I stopped betraying myself. Some losses echo forever. Others teach you exactly what you deserved all along. That night ended chaos and began peace. And peace, I learned, is the greatest love story of all.